It does so much. It's like when you give up the fight mentally, your body kind of gives up too, right? So when I looked at trying to understand the emotional message from our soul, like it's very literal. Like there's a site called Flow and Forms that kind of has put it down and explained a lot of all the illnesses and what it means emotionally. And I remember scrolling through and looking at it and trying to understand. It kind of really makes sense. Like I looked up, having like I'll bring it up right now actually. Okay, check out this site. So the site is Flows and Forms. So FLOWSANDFORMS.com. And there's a section in that site that says, "Does your body lie? Emotions and personal development." And the idea is all mental obstruction is projected by the body as a symptom. Are you ready to listen to what your body wants to tell you? And this kind of fit in line with what Dolores Cannon was preaching as well, with the message that she has from the unconscious. And that was kind of really a big message. So the idea behind it is to not just heal the illness and sickness, but to heal the person. Because our emotions are what makes us sick. It's like, have you ever been in like an emotional, like really weak emotionally, like you've gone through a rough time and you know that you're going through a weak moment, right? And have you ever noticed that you get sick really easy, like you catch a cold really easy? That's because our immune system goes down, it gets weak, and we're more susceptible to catching infections and viruses. This is what negative emotion kind of does to us. But we need to, like the way the world's going, we're very sick. And me, myself, like I preach better than I do, So, just to make this more relatable or for you to understand. Now, for myself, I'm diabetic, right? I will tell you what that means for me. Diabetes is a condition of the pancreas. Diabetes. When diabetes symptoms exist, it's because the person felt he was not able to keep sugar reserves. In diabetic people, sugar escapes through urine. Diabetic people are unable to assimilate and store sugar in their own cells. Previously, in certain countries, diabetes was known as sugar diarrhea, which means diarrhea of love. The body of the diabetic person is showing him that he deprives himself of love. The word diabetes comes from the Greek, which means to throw or to pass through something. The pancreas produces a type of sugar that is very alkaline. For this reason, diabetes causes the hyperacidulation of the body. The person becomes sour, acid, and aggressive. The body is showing the person that the one who does not love becomes sour. That the one who moves away from sugar, sweetness, and love becomes sour. In other words, the person who does not know how to enjoy himself becomes unbearable. The diabetic person longs for love, but does not dare search for it. He is waiting everlastingly. He has not learnt what love is. The key word here is love. Being able to receive love or moving away from home. In the case of diabetes, the person's tension translates, I cannot oppose fate, and I am not receiving my correct share of sugar, which is love and affection. I would like to get out of this because it disgusts me, but I can't. Therefore, from the keyword love, we get to another keyword, revulsion or repugnance. In this case, the tension is due to, it is my duty to stay close to someone who smells like a corpse. The person remains close to someone who revolts him, and he stays and he tries to resist. The person suffering from diabetes rebels against the God of creation. And the representative of the relationship with the divine force, the force of heaven, is precisely the biological father. The person causes revulsion to the diabetic patient is his father or her male model. It is paramount to find out what happened in the relationship with the father, who revolted the person and caused him revulsion, and who still is this person's understanding, never gave the love, the sugar he needed. In this case, it's important to work with the person in his acceptance of love for himself and for the other person. Doesn't it ring like true? And it's a lot to take in. I remember when I first read that, I was just like, oh, this is just like a smack in the face. And I don't know how to absorb and take that in. So, alright, I really went off on a tangent, but let's look at this pandemic that's going on in the world. Let's see what it says, right? So, what are we looking at? The breathing system. Epidemics, here we go. Epidemics. Outbreaks. Breathing system, because it attacks the lungs or the respiratory system, right? So to understand, first of all, what an epidemic is. So when we look at epidemics, it's here we're talking about the level of the collective unconscious. So it's no longer just you and your emotional disturbance that you're feeling. It's a collective thing that's going on. It's an unconscious collective thing that's happening in the mass of people. Epidemics or outbreaks are the result of the collective conscious of the herd. Outbreaks are very archaic things from the immemorable times, and that have the function of separating the wheat from the shaft. In nature, epidemics are useful for the survival of the species. They are a divine tool that separates the wheat from the shaft. The shaft is appropriate for recycling, and the wheat can be stored and eaten. Cholera? The plague always had the purpose of separating humankind. Of course, human beings of today cannot find a moral reason in this. In the collective unconscious, some carry the seed of the wheat, and they will remain and continue. And the others are the shaft, and they will be recycled. Of course, the human mind does not find this ethical, but it is dual, hence natural, although not acceptable by the majority of people. This notion is very much linked to the planetary co-creation. Any form of outbreak is a biological separation. The herd is the object of epidemics, not the individual. So this is something that's not just happening with us, it's happening everywhere and with people. It is the collective brain that is gripped by collective disease. One should note that nowadays there are many holocausts on the planet. They are signs that we are entering a new era, a new collective way of thinking. We are right at the core of an epidemic. The human collective conscious needs to change dramatically. A new and old phenomena comes up and becomes recurrent. Wars, risks of pandemics, the chronic sadness of populations all over the world, and invasions by certain types of animals in their millions, plagues that decimate whole portions of some countries. Interesting. Plague is similar to tuberculosis. The difference being that this is a collective disease. It is part of the epidemics. It shows that the community felt a collective intense fear of dying. It only strikes after an event, for instance, following a war. Interesting. So it attacks the respiratory system. So wherever disease or illnesses kind of form is addressing something specific, right? So if we look at the breathing system, I should look up emphysema too. So the breathing or respiratory system is made up of the upper respiratory airways, which is the nose, nasal cavities, and pharynx, and the lower respiratory airways, which is the trachea, bronchi, and lungs. Respiration exemplifies the highest profile of duality. If we only inhale, we die. If we only exhale, we die. We need both. The act of inhaling is a contraction, and the act of exhaling is an expansion. The act of breathing holds the polarity of welcoming, which is receiving, or the refusal to receive. I will not take in what is not good for me, as well as the polarity of giving or not giving. In In Latin, the root of the word respiratory means to breathe. In Latin, spiritus means spirit. The Latin roots of breath and spirit are close. Interesting, breath and spirit are kind of the same. The word inhale also comes from the same root. In Greek, psyche means soul, as well as puff or blow. So soul is puff or blow. Fascinating. In Hindustani, the word Atman is very close to the German word for breathe, Atman. The same root is found in the word that describes the one who reached perfection, Mahatma. Hindus use the word prana to describe the act of breathing as the carrier of vital force. In the Bible, God blows on clay figure and brings it to life. Also in Greek, pneum, as in pneumonia, the pneum part, means wind or spirit. The act of breathing, through its duality, connects us with the supernatural, the universe, the fountain of creation, and the metaphysical. Breathing allows us the union with life. Breathing keeps human beings from isolation. Breathing keeps human beings from isolation. Fascinating! Consequently, breathing represents contact and relationship. This contact with the outside is carried through the alveoli. The contact we have with another person through skin is voluntary. Either I want to touch or not. The contact through breathing, however, is not. It just happens, period. Asthma and skin flare-ups are related since they are both associated with contact and relationships. The first occurs in the respiratory system and the latter on the skin. The first blow gives life and the last releases it. The first blow detaches us from the mother. We become individual entities. Here we use two key words to describe the breathing system's own duality: freedom and grasp. In the breathing system, there is a right side yang and left side yin, and polarity in organs which are paired, such as tonsils, lungs, bronchi, and bronchioles. They are communication issues associated with the cerebral hemispheres. The polarity does not apply to the pleura. So for all humans, right-handed and left-handed, the right side is yang and the left side is yin. Problems on the yang side show the person felt victimized by a man and the yin side victimized by a woman. That's pneumonia. Inflammation of the lungs by infectious germs is characterized by high fever, cough, pain in the chest, general unwellness, difficulty in breathing, mental confusion, and changes in blood pressure. It denotes a feeling provoked by serious external aggression. Extremely painful pneumonia shows that the person has no defenses of her own. I need to be protected. Who will protect me? I have a serious communication problem. I cannot make myself understood. I am not understood. Who will protect me and understands my suffering? This situation may occur when the person feels that the person who would be ideal to protect her from aggressions is absent. I'm just going to look up lungs now. It's so fascinating. So lungs form the part of the metal element of the 5 oriental elements. When I read the word metal, what popped into my head was this year started a new cycle in Asian astrology, Chinese astrology. When I say new cycle, it's a new 12-year cycle, and it's referred to the white metal rat year. And I just had to Google it, and if you can see Google, it says the Chinese zodiac name is the white metal rat, which is 2020. It says, so I looked up what is the white metal rat, and it says the rat governs a year when money easily slips through the fingers and when saving money is an illusion. Travels and changes are the characteristics of this year, and most people will prefer to be anywhere else but home. And then I looked up what does metal mean in Chinese zodiac. It says metal is the 4th phase of the Chinese philosophy. It is the decline of the matter, or the matter's decline stage. Metal is yin in character and its motion is inwards and its energy is contracting. Isn't that fascinating with everything that's going on? Mind you, this is a 4-year which is weird. In numerology, last year was a 3-year. This is a 4-year. In China's zodiac, which is nothing to do with numerology, this year is the start of a cycle, which is the rat is the beginning of the cycle. I just thought that was quink-a-dink. Breathing exemplifies the highest profile of duality. If we only inhale, we die. If we only exhale, we die. We need both. The main role of the lungs is to protect us from the outside. Lungs filter dust, get rid of carbon monoxide, and react to aggressions caused by the environment. The act of breathing through its duality connects us with the supernatural, the universe, the fountain of creation, and the metaphysical. Breathing allows our union with life. Breathing keeps human beings from isolation. I'm repeating that. So people with respiratory problems have difficulty living life, protecting themselves from the exterior, or even expressing themselves in the presence of people who assault them. Lung-related tensions are thus connected to the feeling of being assaulted by someone and simultaneously fear of death. Whether physical death or the end of a cycle, it may just be the fear of losing a relationship. And it can be the fear of dying, which is the fear of releasing the last breath. The person is very scared of asphyxiating. It must be stressed again that what we mean by attack is not something objective. We refer to the person felt as being a form of attack. Contrary to what happens with the pleura, when it comes to the lungs, we are talking about all types of people, whether they are close or not. It could be a stranger, a school teacher, a sports teacher, a passerby, or even someone close. The pleura is connected only to very close people. In this case, the tension associated with aggression is enormous, and above all, the person does not verbalize it and keeps it within himself. The body always ends up uncovering it. The fact that this virus is attacking the lungs, it's about fear in itself, and this fear is the fear of dying, the fear in general. So have you ever been in a state where you notice that you've been holding your breath, whether you're watching something exciting or something is scary or something uncertain, where you find yourself not breathing and you're holding your breath and you kind of mentally just say to yourself, okay, now exhale it out. And then, I don't know if you guys have those moments, but I do quite a bit, where I don't realise I'm not breathing. It just happens. And this is the amount of stress that kind of I don't even know when I'm not breathing until I need to breathe, right? So when I look at the spread of the coronavirus, it's kind of it's kind of interesting, right? It's attacking the lungs. It's people who are in a really big state of fear. And they're fearing dying. Like, the whole point of this whole stress and fear that they feel probably makes them more susceptible to getting infected. And they just don't realise it. It's just a lack of information, lack of understanding, which is the bad part, right? So when I look at everything, this pandemic, can we look at this as a massive second chance card? Don't you see? Like, everything that's happening in space, whether it be a new Earth or whether it be, it just kind of signifies it. It has the feels of restarting, resetting. Maybe on the 22nd of April, that's when shit gets real. I can't really see it as a second chance. You know, we're breaking through, stripping things back down to the basics to rebuild on a different way of being. Because if we really look at how we were before, we were pretty shit humans, you know? We weren't effective, weren't efficient, we were crap. Like, things didn't make sense. There was no common sense. It was just, the world was madness. Absolutely madness and chaotic, right? There was no hope in that. But now, I know in the middle of this massive outbreak or epidemic, I'm saying, Can't you see the hope? Can't you see that this is like the second chance card, and we need to grab this. We need to do something about it, because we've been, like, in the short amount of time since this coronavirus has broken out, or this outbreak, have we not learnt a shitload of things and had and acknowledge and recognise and appreciate a shitload of things out there in the world? We're kind of breaking it back down again and trying to figure out who we are as an individual again, what our beliefs are, and what our values and morals are. We always being in the collective, wearing a mask. Do that too long without having your me time, you can eventually forget who you were or are, because you're always out there. So getting back to isolation, I think this is kind of really necessary. I think there's a lot of people out there that either they're avoiding it and they're ignoring the rules with social distancing, and there's a bunch of people freaking out and doing weird things like surviving. So we need to remember to breathe right now, to chill. People need to not stress. I know it's really hard, because I personally have gone through the emotional roller coaster of doom and gloom. It's kind of rough. Like, the world is drastically changing. It's hard to know how to adjust to it when it's constantly kind of adjusting still. But we really need this, right? The way the world was working wasn't working. It's time for a drastic change of something different. Like the poles have flipped. And those who manage to find the calm right now and handle and deal with the world leading into global recession, or even with this scary virus thing, it's a push for mental strength now to evolve from this. This is a pinnacle moment in our lives to evolve. It's our second chance. There's no other way to say it. Let's do things differently, right? We have learned to appreciate the fact of human connection. We were out there mingling with each other and not caring about each other. It was all so superficial and so uncaring, and no love or anything. It was just robotic. Right now, this chaos, in the midst of this chaos, this is where love is, right? And I still believe that love is the answer to it. And love in itself is not, it's not a weird, like, love is an emotion, an intense emotion, right? And I think this intense emotion can only come up when two great contrasts intertwine with each other and create something beautiful. Something that has the dual nature within that creation. It's kind of beautiful how how logic and how emotions, feelings and logic, how both kind of dance with each other. That's what I'm talking about. We need to speak up. We've been fearing things for so long. And oh my God, it's like how I read that diabetic thing before, and my relationship with love. Anyway, it's getting a bit emo, but oh my God, it's our second chance. Let's do things right this time. Let's get this shit done and get together. Remember, social distancing now. Let it all blow over first, and we can start from anywhere. Can't you feel the hope and the potential this moment creates of a new possibility of something beautiful to happen in the world in the future? It's now or never. Like, seriously, it's now or never.